I find this very interesting. How did you cobble together 6 desperate counties, at least into allowing you to develop this kind of rural agricultural focused analytical tools? Because there's a lot of resistance to your regional planners tinkering around with this subject.
Well, that was definitely an educational part. That was a key part to making RUCs work. Not only did we get a federal grant to start up RUCs well, but it was also an education piece on just who an MPO is. We're not the standard style of government that lands on the news. And it's not a state government or a local agency that's struggling with any particular part, where we really sold ourselves as that forum for folks to really bridge that gap, to cut through the red tape at a regional scale for these challenges that a lot of rural communities are facing. So we were able to get into the communities really well as that partner to help them through those challenges.
Have you thought about an outreach to the other Delta counties, Solano, Contra Costa, San Joaquin? Because if there were some commonality of principles that you're using on transportation policy between all of the counties, it makes it a lot easier for us to fit that into our Delta plan obligations and avoid all kinds of other problems, as Mr. Damrell suggested by his earlier question.
Well, we're happy to share, just as Jessica had mentioned. And there's also parts of SB 375 that makes MPOs share a lot of that data about their inputs and assumptions for their long-range plans.
As we look down the road, there is the potential for an opportunity in the Delta if BDCP is permitted. There's going to be a lot of construction activity. There's going to be some impact on roads. We know on Highway 160, bridges are the very important link to transportation. Does SACOG or Caltrans have anything ongoing, taking a look at potential opportunities to improve, replace bridges along 160 as it relates to the potential BDCP activity?
Yeah, I know in terms of the potential. Oh, thank you. Potential construction down there in the Delta region. Caltrans, we're very sensitive to that, and what we need to do is I understand that we're looking to get some mitigation, some funding to pay for those impacts, to the bridges, other structures, the roadway system, surface, et cetera. And so who's ever causing the damage, should pay for that damage. And so, hopefully we can get some funding to mitigate those impacts.
Sam, SACOG have any views of bridges on 160?
Not specifically for bridges on 160. I would definitely hand it off to Caltrans as far as their highway bridge program for those eligible bridges that can climb up on the priority list if they're in deteriorating condition. They could have a chance to compete.
As a matter of fact, probably about 4 months ago, I was at another workshop on Delta issues, and it was a farmer he had a lot of land in Ryder Island, and he was concerned about on I think it was 220 on I forgot my island's correct there, but I was on Route 220 on some of the bridges that are going across to the island, and there's been a lot of construction activity due to the levees. They're trying to augment the levees and armor them, and they're doing a lot of fill, and so Caltrans, we got them in touch with some of our structural engineering staff, and they were able to they go out there and regularly inspect the bridges as it's brought up, and so we just want to make sure that they are safe, for all the users. So we definitely, the bridges in the state are one thing that gets high priority in terms of inspection and maintenance within, Caltrans, and so we've got, as a matter of fact, compared to other states, we've got a high level of structural integrity to our bridges, primarily due to the seismic issues that we have to deal with here in the state. But, the bridges, fortunately, are one thing that are doing pretty good overall.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Gentlemen, thank you all very much for a very informative panel. Jessica, any?
Cindy wanted to make some final comments.
Cindy, your final comments, and tell us, where do we go from here?
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt your
No,
your
it's okay.
final comments there. But I do want to just very quickly thank all of the panel members, thank the council members for their questions, and just reiterate that we've begun to build these relationships and coordinate on information exchange and efforts. Obviously, staff will continue with those efforts, and especially as we move forward with the levy prioritization strategy, we want to make sure we have not only Caltrans represented in that those groups and those discussions, but also clearly the local organizations and their planning efforts as well. And where we can provide support, I know there's been a lot of discussion today about coordination, where we can do that to help with local transportation issues and improvements. Delta as place is one of our primary objectives, and clearly transportation through the Delta is one of those elements that will enhance and protect the economy and recreational opportunities within the Delta. So again, I just want to offer that up, that staff will continue to track and coordinate with and report back on these various activities.
Cindy, thank you, and to your staff for setting this up. Gentlemen, again, thank you for being here. With that, we'll recess for lunch, and don't anybody yell at me, but we will reconvene at 1:30.
Oh, so